Alex stepped off the shuttle onto the orbital station, taking a deep breath as he felt the artificial gravity settle around him. He had traveled farther than he ever imagined, beyond the known human colonies, to a research station that orbited a small, uncharted planet in the Varani system. His heart pounded in anticipation and anxiety. The stories he had heard about the Virienza, mysterious alien species renowned for their psychic abilities, made him nervous. They were intelligent, beautiful in strange ways, and reportedly capable of reading thoughts. The idea of someone peering into his mind made him shiver, even if they were friendly. The station was quiet, except for the soft hum of machinery and the occasional hiss of a vent releasing oxygen. Alex adjusted the straps of his bag as he moved toward the main hub. He had been assigned as a technical engineer, sent to troubleshoot a series of systems that had been malfunctioning. It was a simple enough job on paper, but the thought of being surrounded by beings who might know his every private idea made him fidget. Humans had always been clever, resourceful, and unpredictable, and he knew he would have to rely on those qualities more than ever here. When he entered the main laboratory, the first thing he noticed was Lyra. She stood near a console, her tall, slender frame glowing faintly under the alien lights. Her skin shimmered in shades of violet and silver, and her large, luminous eyes seemed to watch everything with quiet curiosity. She smiled faintly when she noticed him. "You must be Alex," she said, her voice musical and calm, yet carrying an undertone of amusement. "Welcome to the station." Alex nodded, feeling awkward. "Yes, that's me. And, thank you. It's nice to be here." His hands fidgeted as he spoke, betraying his nervousness. Lyra tilted her head slightly, watching him with the same gentle curiosity as before. There was something about her gaze that made him feel exposed, yet strangely safe. He started working immediately, moving toward the systems that had reported failures. As he examined the console, he felt a strange sensation, like someone was lightly touching the edges of his thoughts. He glanced at Lyra, who was observing him with that same faint smile. His mind raced. Did she just... No, it can't be. Lyra suddenly laughed, a soft sound that made his chest tighten. "You're thinking about how small this control panel is for all the work you need to do," she said. Her voice was gentle, teasing, and Alex froze. Realizing she had somehow said exactly what he had been thinking, he stammered, embarrassed. I was just... Yeah, it's a bit tight, that's all." Lyra smiled wider, clearly amused. "You think a human engineer would struggle with a simple panel? You are amusing." Alex felt a mixture of embarrassment and intrigue. No one had ever reacted this way to his private thoughts. He usually kept such ideas to himself. The thought that someone could hear everything he thought made him uneasy. But there was also an odd thrill in knowing that Lyra was not judging him. In fact, she seemed to enjoy it. Over the next few hours, Alex tried to focus on his work, but his mind kept wandering. Every thought, no matter how random or silly, seemed to reach her almost immediately. He thought about how he had eaten 3 identical sandwiches for breakfast because he was too nervous to pick something else. Lyra looked at him and chuckled softly. 3 sandwiches, the same type, and you call yourself spontaneous?" she teased. Alex's face turned red, but he couldn't help laughing along with her as they worked together. Lyra began asking him questions about human habits, humor, and behavior. She was fascinated by the way he thought, the way his mind jumped from one idea to another, often in ways that were unpredictable, illogical, or slightly mischievous. Alex was both flattered and unsettled that she could follow every twist of his thoughts, yet he started to feel a strange connection forming. It was unlike anything he had experienced before. Later, during a break, they walked to the observation deck. Looking out over the uncharted planet below, it was covered in vast oceans and forests, colors unlike anything Alex had seen before. The view was breathtaking. But his mind couldn't stop replaying small moments from the death, the way Lyra had reacted to his thoughts. The faint laughter that made him feel both embarrassed and alive. "You humans are curious creatures," Lyra said suddenly, her eyes still fixed on the planet. "You think in ways no Varian can. Your thoughts are chaotic, unpredictable, fascinating." Alex laughed nervously. I guess that's one way to put it. I don't know. I try to keep some thoughts private, but it seems useless around you. Lyra turned to him, her expression gentle. I do not judge them, Alex. I enjoy them. Even the thoughts you might call dirty or mischievous. They are entertaining. You have a mind that is uniquely human, and it is remarkable to witness. Dirty thoughts? She actually enjoys them? He felt a rush of embarrassment, mixed with surprise. No one had ever spoken about his private ideas with such understanding or amusement. Somehow, the fact that she could read his mind and still smile, even laugh, made him feel more accepted than he had ever felt before. He tried to think of something clever, something human, something that might make her laugh again. What would happen if I imagined her wearing a ridiculous hat while doing experiments? The thought flickered in his mind. Lyra's lips curled into a smile. You imagine me in silly ways, she said knowingly, and yet you are unashamed. That is delightful. Alex felt a warmth spreading through him. It was thrilling to realize that he could share these thoughts without fear of judgment. He had never considered that someone could find his private imagination enjoyable, even endearing. For the first time in his life, he felt completely seen and strangely appreciated. The rest of the day passed with more tests, repairs, and occasional laughter. Every time Alex's mind wandered, Lyra seemed to notice, her reactions ranging from soft chuckles to wide-eyed amusement. By the end of the shift, he realized that he was not just nervous about being here anymore, he was looking forward to interacting with her, to testing the limits of what she could understand, and to seeing how she would respond. As Alex prepared to leave the lab, Lyra followed him. Do not be afraid to think freely around me, she said softly. Humans are rare in their creativity, in their unpredictability. I enjoy it. Alex smiled awkwardly, scratching the back of his head. I guess that makes me one of a kind here, huh? Lyra tilted her head, her eyes bright. You are more than that. You are remarkable. As he walked back to his quarters, Alex felt a mixture of exhilaration and nervousness. The idea that someone could read his mind had once terrified him. Now, knowing that Lyra not only could but also enjoyed it, made him feel alive in a way he had never experienced. His thoughts, his private jokes, his mischievous imaginings, they were no longer things to hide. They were a bridge, a way to connect with someone extraordinary in a universe filled with unknowns, for the first time in a long time. Alex realized that being human with all the quirks, chaos and messy thoughts was something to be proud of. And in Lyra's presence, he began to feel that perhaps, just perhaps, his thoughts were not only safe, but cherished. The station hummed quietly around him, lights glowing softly along the corridors. Alex leaned back against the wall, thinking about the day, about Lyra, and about the strange thrill of being fully understood. Somewhere deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning, that the unusual connection they had formed today would lead to even more unexpected discoveries. Laughter, and maybe even danger. And as he closed his eyes that night, drifting off in his small quarters, Alex allowed himself one final thought, one he had never dared admit aloud to anyone before. I hope she never stops reading my mind. The next morning, Alex woke to the gentle hum of the station. He rubbed his eyes and stretched, still thinking about Lyra and the strange thrill of the previous day. Her ability to understand him, to sense even the most fleeting of thoughts, made his mind buzz with curiosity. Humans were known for their imagination, their cleverness, and unpredictability, and now he understood how unique that could appear to an alien mind. He dressed quickly and headed toward the lab. As he entered, he saw Lyra already at a console, her fingers moving over the controls with precision. She looked up and smiled, and Alex felt a rush of warmth. Today, he thought he would test the boundaries of their unusual connection. Good morning, Lyra said, her voice soft yet lively. I have been thinking about our experiments from yesterday. You humans do not think in a linear way. Your thoughts are like rivers with many branches. It is fascinating to follow them. Alex grinned nervously. I guess humans like to take the scenic route in our minds. Keeps things interesting. Lyra laughed, the sound like tiny bells in the quiet lab. Alex had noticed that she found humor in ways other Virians did not. He wondered what else she might enjoy about his human quirks. As he worked on the control panels, Lex began deliberately thinking about silly and mischievous ideas. What if I imagine Lyra slipping on a banana peel while performing an experiment? He thought. He expected nothing. But she immediately raised an eyebrow and smiled knowingly. You have imagined something amusing about me, she said lightly. Do not worry. It makes you more human. Alex felt his cheeks heat up, but he laughed anyway. This was different from any interaction he had ever experienced. No one had ever confronted his thoughts directly. No one had ever reacted with amusement and acceptance, rather than shock or judgment. It was liberating. Over the course of the morning, Alex began experimenting with the limits of their connection. He tried imagining impossible scenarios, humorous inventions, and small mischievous tricks. Each time, Lyra reacted with gentle laughter, fascination, or playful teasing. Alex realized she genuinely enjoyed the raw, chaotic, unpredictable nature of the human mind. At one point, a minor system error triggered alarms throughout the lab. Alex's instincts kicked in. He moved quickly, recalibrating the panels and rerouting power to prevent damage. Lyra observed him silently, but with admiration in her eyes. You think and act differently than Virians? She said. Once the alarm was resolved, your instincts are rapid, unconventional, yet effective. Humans are remarkable. Alex smiled, feeling a mixture of pride and relief. It was strange to be praised for being himself, for his natural, impulsive problem-solving skills. He realized that in Lyra's eyes, his humanity was not a limitation, but a strength. After the emergency, Lyra suggested a short break. They walked to the observation deck and looked out at the planet below. Its oceans shimmered with blue and green hues, and massive forests stretched as far as the eye could see. Alex felt a sense of awe at the view, but also at the moment itself, the chance to share a quiet, meaningful experience with someone who understood him so completely. You humans value freedom in ways Varians rarely consider, Lyra said, turning toward him. Your thoughts, even the chaotic ones, are not bound by rules. That is why I enjoy observing your mind. Alex laughed softly. I suppose that makes me more entertaining than I realized. Good or bad, I guess humans are just unpredictable. Lyra's eyes sparkled. Unpredictable, yes, but in a way that is delightful, not dangerous. Your thoughts are alive. For a moment, Alex felt a surge of vulnerability. He had shared parts of his mind he had never revealed to anyone before. And here was Lyra, a stranger, appreciating those thoughts as if they were treasures. It was both thrilling and humbling. Returning to the lab, Alex continued his work, now more relaxed and confident. He discovered that he could think creatively about the systems, improvising solutions that Virians would not have considered. Lyra followed every move, silently noting his methods and occasionally asking questions about his thought process. You approach problems differently, she observed. You combine logic with instinct, planning with spontaneity. Humans are fascinating in their complexity. Alex smirked. Well, that's what happens when evolution gives you curiosity, stubbornness, and a touch of chaos. Lyra laughed softly again, clearly amused by his phrasing. Alex realized that she wasn't just reading his thoughts. She was interpreting them, enjoying them, and even learning from them. It was a profound experience, one he had never imagined possible. Later, while calibrating a delicate energy field, Alex found himself daydreaming. He imagined Lyra laughing at something ridiculous he had just thought. Her hair shimmering in the lab lights, her expression a mix of curiosity and delight. She suddenly looked up, her eyes narrowing playfully. You imagine me? She asked, her tone teasing. Alex froze, caught in the act. Maybe, he admitted, his voice low. I don't know. I thought it might make you laugh. Lyra smiled wider. You do not need to hide your imagination, Alex. I enjoy it, even the thoughts you might call naughty. They are human, and humans are worth observing closely. Alex felt a rush of warmth and embarrassment. It was strange and wonderful to realize that someone could not only understand his mind, but also appreciate the very parts. He often tried to hide. The afternoon brought more work, with Alex solving complex problems using a combination of human intuition and mechanical skill. Lyra observed, occasionally commenting on his methods. "No Varian would approach this task as you have," she noted. "Your creativity is impressive." By the time the shift ended, Alex and Lyra had grown comfortable with each other. The initial tension of telepathic exposure had given way to mutual curiosity, playful teasing, and a sense of shared understanding. Alex realized that he was no longer afraid of her mind reading. He was intrigued, even excited by it. As they left the lab together, Alex asked, "So, am I entertaining you just by existing?" Lyra laughed softly. "You do more than entertain. You inspire curiosity, amusement, and admiration. Your mind is unique, Alex. I am glad you are here." Walking back to his quarters, Alex felt a lightness he had not felt in years. The strange, unpredictable, and sometimes mischievous nature of his thoughts had become a bridge between him and Lyra. For the first time, he felt completely accepted for who he was, not despite his human quirks, but because of them. That night, as he lay in his small quarters, Alex reflected on the day. The knowledge that someone could read his mind no longer frightened him. Instead, it thrilled him. He thought about Lyra's laughter, her soft teasing, and her fascination with his chaotic human nature. His thoughts wandered freely, imagining all the small, mischievous, and funny things he could do tomorrow. And for the first time, he allowed himself to hope that this unusual bond might grow deeper, that someone in the vast universe could not only understand him, but also enjoy him entirely. His human mind, with all its unpredictability, had found a kindred spirit, and that thought made sleep come easily, carrying him into dreams of strange planets, sparkling lights, and the endless possibilities that awaited with Lyra by his side. The morning air of the station felt quieter than usual, almost heavy with anticipation. Alex walked into the lab, carrying his bag and a sense of curiosity that had grown into excitement. He had learned to stop worrying about Lyra reading his mind. Instead, he felt a thrill in knowing she could see the twists and turns of his thoughts, even the ones he thought were private or mischievous. Today, he decided, he would embrace it fully. Seeing just how much she could understand about the chaotic human mind, Lyra was already at the central console. Her movements precise and graceful, yet her gaze softened when she noticed him. "Good morning, Alex," she said, her voice gentle, but carrying that familiar spark of amusement. "I have been thinking about yesterday. Humans are unpredictable. Every day I discover something new in your thoughts." Alex grinned, adjusting his sleeves. "Well, you haven't seen the half of it yet." She tilted her head, curious. "Do not be afraid to show me. Your mind is fascinating, and I enjoy it. Even the thoughts you might consider private or improper." Alex froze for a moment, feeling the familiar blush rising. The term improper was odd, yet her tone was playful, not judgmental. He realized something remarkable. Ilra did not see his human quirks as flaws. She saw them as a puzzle, a treasure to understand, a reflection of humanity's complexity. As he worked on the main console, Alex began deliberately letting his mind wander. He thought about strange combinations of ideas, little jokes he had never spoken aloud, and the small, naughty fantasies that had always been private. Lyra reacted almost immediately, raising an eyebrow, smiling, or laughing softly. Her reaction subtle, but clear. "You humans are peculiar," she said, shaking her head lightly. "Your imagination is endless, and your thoughts are unrestrained. It is delightful." Alex chuckled nervously. "I guess we are. I just never expected someone to enjoy my private thoughts." Lyra's smile widened. "Not just enjoy. I admire them. Humans are rare in this universe. Your mind is unpredictable, clever, and alive in ways that no Varian mind is. That is why I find you so fascinating." Alex felt a warmth spreading through him. No one had ever said anything like that to him before. He had always worried that his imagination, his humor, or even the naughty thoughts he occasionally entertained were improper, embarrassing, or strange. But here was someone who appreciated them fully. Without hesitation, the calm of the morning was interrupted by an unexpected alert. A minor system anomaly had triggered in the laboratory. Lights flickered briefly, and the hum of machinery shifted in tone. Alex's training kicked in, and he immediately moved to assess the problem. Lyra followed, her eyes sharp as she observed his every move. Alex quickly traced the issue to a malfunctioning energy conduit. It was delicate work, requiring precision and instinct. He adjusted the panels, rerouted power, and stabilized the system within minutes. Lyra watched silently, her admiration evident. "You think and act differently than Virians?" she said once the crisis was resolved. "You rely on intuition, improvisation, and creativity. Humans are remarkable. Your solutions are unpredictable, but effective."
Alex
shrugged modestly. "I just do what makes sense in the moment. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't." Lyra shook her head, smiling. "It almost always works. That is why humans are exceptional. Your mind. It is not bound by the same rules as ours. It is alive in a way that is difficult to describe, but inspiring." For a moment, Alex felt humbled. He had always considered himself ordinary, a human among countless others. Yet Lyra saw him differently. She valued his unpredictability, his humor, his cleverness, and even the mischievous parts of his mind. It was thrilling, and for the first time, Alex realized that being human was not a limitation, it was a strength. After the crisis, Lyra suggested they step outside onto the observation deck. The uncharted planet below glimmered in the soft light of its distant sun. Oceans stretching endlessly, and forests shimmering in colors he could not name. Alex felt a profound sense of wonder, not just at the world below, but at the experience of sharing it with Lyra. "You humans think in ways that are layer," Lyra said, her voice soft. "You imagine multiple outcomes at once. You plan, yet you also act on instinct. It is rare and beautiful." Alex laughed softly. "I never thought I'd hear someone call human chaos beautiful." Lyra tilted her head, her eyes bright. "It is. You are a mixture of contradictions, and that makes you compelling. Your mind is a puzzle, Alex, and I enjoy every piece of it." Alex felt a flutter of excitement. The fact that she could see every twist of his imagination and still value it, even laugh at it, made him feel alive. For the first time, he no longer feared exposure. He wanted to explore the limits of their connection, to see how far their understanding could go. Back in the lab, Alex continued working, now more confident than ever. He began improvising with systems, trying unconventional solutions, imagining scenarios that no Varian would ever consider. Lyra followed closely, observing his methods with fascination. "You approach problems differently," she noted. "You combine logic with creativity, planning with intuition. Humans are remarkable in this regard. That is why I enjoy observing your mind." Alex smiled, feeling a sense of pride. "I guess it's just what humans do. We try, we fail, we try again. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we keep going." Lyra's eyes sparkled. Persistence, creativity, unpredictability. These are qualities Varians rarely possess. "You are an example of why humans are extraordinary." As the afternoon progressed, Alex found himself thinking more freely. He imagined small jokes, funny scenarios, and little pranks that would make Lyra laugh. Each time she responded with amusement, soft laughter, or playful comments. Alex realized that their connection had grown beyond mere curiosity. There was genuine enjoyment, trust, and a sense of intimacy in the shared understanding of his thoughts. At one point, while calibrating a sensitive energy module, Alex imagined Lyra performing the task while wearing a ridiculous hat, her expression overly serious. Lyra's eyes narrowed playfully. "You imagine me?" she asked T-A-S-I-N-G-L-Y. Alex froze, then admitted, "I might have. I thought it would be funny." Lyra laughed softly. "It is funny, and you are not ashamed. That is human. I enjoy it. You are not like anyone I have ever observed." Alex felt a mix of embarrassment and thrill. To have someone appreciate his private thoughts, even the mischievous ones, was extraordinary. No one had ever made him feel so seen, understood, and valued all at once. The day passed with more shared work, playful exchanges, and small discoveries. Alex's confidence in their connection grew. He realized that being human with all the quirks, chaos, and unpredictability was not only acceptable, but remarkable in the eyes of someone like Lyra. As night fell, Alex returned to his quarters, his mind buzzing with excitement and new ideas. He reflected on Lyra's words, her laughter, and the way she had admired his creativity and intuition. For the first time, he felt proud of his human mind, all its messy, chaotic, mischievous thoughts. He lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling, imagining the adventures that awaited him. The station hummed softly around him, and he felt a profound sense of anticipation. With Lyra, his thoughts were not a source of fear or embarrassment, they were a bridge, connection, and a revelation. Alex closed his eyes, allowing his mind to wander freely. He imagined strange, funny, and clever scenarios, thinking about how Lyra might react. And for the first time, he realized that his chaotic, unpredictable human mind was not only accepted but cherished by someone extraordinary for the first time. He let himself hope that their connection could grow even deeper, that his private thoughts, his jokes, and his mischievous imagination could be shared without fear. And as sleep claimed him, he dreamed of endless possibilities, adventures, and the strange, thrilling bond forming between a human and a Virian in the vast universe. The station was quieter than usual that morning, almost unnaturally so. Alex entered the lab carrying his tools and a sense of curiosity that had grown into anticipation. He had grown comfortable with Lyra's presence and her ability to sense his thoughts. He no longer feared it. Instead, he welcomed it. It was exciting to have someone who could follow his mind, understand it, and even enjoy the parts he had always considered private or mischievous. Lyra was at the central console, her tall form bathed in the soft violet light that seemed to glow from the walls themselves. When she noticed Alex, her eyes lit up, and she smiled. "Good morning, Alex. You seem unusually awake today." Alex grinned. "I slept well. And I admit I've been thinking about the new systems we need to check. Something tells me today won't be boring." Lyra tilted her head curiously. "You feel anticipation. I can sense it. Humans. Your minds are complex, always moving, always curious. That is why I find you so interesting." Alex laughed softly. "I guess I am interesting, at least to you." She laughed too, a soft musical sound that echoed lightly in the lab. More than you realize, as they began checking the systems, Alex felt the usual thrill of knowing that Lyra could sense his thoughts. He decided to experiment, letting his mind wander in ways that were unusual, funny, and even a little mischievous. He imagined absurd scenarios, robots slipping on the polished floor, floating tools that danced in the air, and even Lyra performing experiments while making exaggerated, theatrical gestures. Lyra noticed immediately. You imagine things that are playful. Your thoughts are chaotic, yet precise in their humor. It is enjoyable to observe. Alex felt a rush of warmth. It was strange and exciting to have someone appreciate his imagination, especially the parts he usually kept private. He realized that this connection was unique, something he had never experienced before. Suddenly, the alarms went off, louder than anything the station had experienced before. Red lights flashed and the hum of machinery shifted into a high-pitched whine. Alex's instincts kicked in immediately. He ran toward the central console, analyzing the readouts. The energy fields around the research modules were fluctuating dangerously, threatening to overload the entire station. Lyra was beside him instantly. Her calm presence helped anchor Alex as he worked. "The containment field is destabilizing," she said, her voice steady. "If it fails, the station could sustain serious damage." He knew the station's systems better than anyone else here. He began rerouting energy, recalibrating power modules, and improvising solutions that no Virian could predict. His thoughts were fast, chaotic, yet effective. And Lyra followed every move with fascination. You think in ways I cannot anticipate, she said. Your mind is alive. Humans are remarkable. Alex felt a surge of pride and adrenaline. He had faced emergencies before, but never with someone watching his thoughts so intimately. He realized that his human ingenuity, his unpredictability, quick thinking, and problem-solving was exactly what the station needed. As the energy fluctuations continued, Alex noticed a pattern. The systems were oscillating in a way that suggested the problem was not mechanical but external. Someone or something was interfering with the station's fields. We have an intruder, Lyra said, her eyes narrowing. Sensors show an external ship approaching. They are trying to access our systems. Alex's heart pounded. He knew the station was vulnerable. The Virians relied on mental coordination, harmony, and calm to operate their systems. An aggressive force could disrupt that balance, and humans were their best hope in situations that required unpredictability, quick action. He turned to Lyra. We need to think fast. I'll handle the systems. You coordinate the fields with your mental abilities. Together, we can stabilize it. Lyra nodded. Agreed, your human mind. It is unpredictable in a good way. I trust you. Alex focused, his thoughts moving rapidly. He rerouted power, creating temporary buffers to absorb the fluctuations. Lyra synchronized her mental focus with his actions, using her abilities to reinforce the containment fields. The combination of human ingenuity and Virian mental skill began to stabilize the situation. The intruder ship fired a series of pulses at the station, attempting to disrupt their defenses. Alex anticipated the pattern, using improvised reroutes and energy reflections to minimize the damage. Lyra's psychic coordination amplified the effects, protecting critical modules from overload. You are clever, Lyra said, her tone filled with admiration. Humans. You think beyond expectation. Alex smiled despite the tension. I guess that's what humans do. We improvise. We take chances. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we keep going. The intruder tried a different tactic, sending a probe into the station's network. Alex analyzed it quickly, realizing that it was designed to mimic Virian communication signals. Attempting to bypass the security measures, he smiled. Nice try, but not fast enough. He created a countersignal that misled the probe, making it harmlessly deactivate. Lyra's eyes shone with approval. You combine logic with instinct. That is, human. And humans are exceptional. As the battle continued, Alex and Lyra moved in perfect unspoken coordination. His mind generated unpredictable solutions. Her mental abilities reinforced them, smoothing out fluctuations and anticipating potential failures. Together, they neutralized the external threat and restored stability to the station. When the alarms finally ceased, Alex sank into a chair, exhausted but exhilarated. Lyra approached him, her expression soft and warm. You humans are extraordinary, she said. Your mind. It is clever, inventive, and alive. I admire it greatly. Alex felt a rush of emotion. He had always thought of himself as ordinary, but in Lyra's eyes he was remarkable. Not because he had done something impossible, but because he had acted with the instinct, creativity, and unpredictability that only a human mind could provide. Lyra reached out, placing a hand lightly on his arm. And your thoughts? Even the private ones, the ones you might call naughty or mischievous. They are delightful. They are uniquely human, and I enjoy them. Alex's face heated, but he smiled. I never thought anyone could enjoy my private thoughts like that. She shook her head gently, her eyes bright. I do. They make you who you are. And that is something rare and precious. For a long moment they sat together, watching the view of the uncharted planet below. The threat was gone, the station was secure, and yet Alex felt something more than relief. He felt connection, admiration, and a sense of being truly understood. He realized that his human mind, with all its quirks, chaos, and unpredictability, was not only valuable, it was extraordinary, and in Lyra's presence, it was cherished, appreciated, and even loved for what it was. As night fell over the station, Alex returned to his quarters, thinking about the day. The challenge they had faced together had shown him something profound. Humans had abilities that were rare in the universe. Their creativity, intuition, and unpredictability could solve problems that no other species could. He felt proud to be human in a way he never had before. Lying in his bed, Alex allowed his mind to wander freely. He imagined future scenarios, adventures on the planet below, and the ways he and Lyra might continue to work together. He even thought of playful, mischievous ideas, imagining Lyra's reactions, and felt a thrill knowing she would enjoy them. For the first time, Alex understood that being human was not just about survival. Work, or logic it, was about imagination, creativity, unpredictability, and the ability to inspire trust and admiration. And with Lyra by his side, he felt that his human mind was finally appreciated in the way it deserved. He closed his eyes, thinking one final thought before sleep: I am human. I am clever. I am unpredictable. And in Lyra's eyes, I am extraordinary. The next morning began quietly. The station floated in the silence of deep space, wrapped in soft light from the nearby star. Alex stood by the viewing window, looking down at the blue-gray surface of the planet below. The day before still felt like a dream. The alarms, the danger, the teamwork, and Lyra's words echoing in his mind. He had always thought of himself as just another engineer, someone who fixed broken systems and followed orders. But now, after everything, he realized he was more than that. He had saved an entire research station not by logic alone, but by the way humans thought: unpredictable, messy, fast, and creative. And Lyra had seen that. She hadn't just read his mind, she had understood him. Lyra entered the observation deck silently. She stood beside him, her reflection glowing faintly in the glass. "You have been thinking deeply," she said softly. "Your mind feels calm but full of new questions." Alex smiled faintly. "You can always tell, huh?" She nodded, her expression gentle. "Your thoughts are vivid, clearer than most I have known. They move quickly, but they are warm. I like the way you think." He looked at her, a mix of pride and wonder in his eyes. "You know, it's strange. For most of my life, I never thought anyone would say that about me." Lyra tilted her head slightly. "Then those people never truly listened. To hear someone's thoughts is to know who they are. And I have listened, Alex." They both stood in silence for a while. The view before them was vast, a whole planet waiting to be explored. The research mission had been delayed because of the attack, but now that things were stable, they could resume the expedition. Lyra turned to him. "The Council wishes to continue the mission. They want to study the surface of the planet. They also requested that you accompany me." Alex blinked. "Me? Why?" "Because they now understand the value of your kind," Lyra said. "Your actions during the attack were recorded. The Council believes that human intuition may help us solve other mysteries we cannot sense through thought alone." Alex grinned. "So they finally realized humans aren't just muscle and tools." Lyra smiled too. "They realized humans are creative, unpredictable, and brave. Qualities even our most advanced minds admire." Within a few hours, they were inside a small exploration shuttle, descending through the planet's thick atmosphere. The shuttle trembled slightly as they broke through the clouds. The landscape below looked ancient and alien: silver valleys, tall crystal structures that seemed to grow like trees, and rivers that shimmered like liquid glass. Alex was amazed. "It's beautiful, like something out of a dream." Lyra closed her eyes, reaching out with her mind. "There is something else here," she murmured. "I can sense echoes. Not voices, but energy. This world remembers." Alex looked at her curiously. "Remembers? You mean memories?" "In a way," Lyra said softly. "Planets, like living beings, carry traces of those who once lived on them. The energy is faint, but it's there." They landed near a massive crystal formation that pulsed with faint light. As they stepped out, the ground shimmered under their feet. Alex carried his scanner while Lyra observed the structures, her mind reaching out gently to sense the environment. This place is old, she said. Older than my people, perhaps older than yours. Alex began scanning the surface. The readings made no sense. The crystal seemed alive, responding to sound, temperature, and even movement. It was like the planet was watching them. Suddenly, the scanner flickered, and a surge of static burst through his earpiece. What the? Before he could react, the ground beneath them pulsed with bright light. A wave of energy rippled across the valley, and Alex stumbled back, shielding his eyes. Lyra steadied him, her expression calm but alert. It's not dangerous, she said. It's reacting to us. Or, to you, Alex frowned. To me? Why me? Lyra's gaze softened. Your thoughts? The planet responds to emotional frequencies, not logic. It feels your mind, Alex. You are. Alive in a way that resonates with it. He stared at the glowing surface beneath his boots. The light followed his steps like ripples in water. He moved slowly, and the crystal responded, glowing brighter. Lyra watched him with quiet awe. See, she said, you do not just fix machines, you connect with them. Even this world feels it. Alex laughed softly. I guess that's one way to say I have a big imagination. Lyra's eyes shimmered with warmth. And that imagination makes you powerful. Never lose it. They spent the rest of the day exploring the valley, studying how the crystals responded to Alex's presence. He began experimenting, humming softly, focusing his thoughts, even imagining patterns of movement. Each time, the crystals responded differently. It was like communicating through emotion rather than words. At one point, Lyra joined him, linking her thoughts with his. Together, their combined energy created a pulse that lit the entire valley for several minutes. The crystals sang, emitting a gentle hum that echoed through the landscape. Alex stared, amazed. Did we just make the planet sing? Lyra smiled. Perhaps. Or maybe it sang for you. The moment felt pure and peaceful. For the first time, Alex felt completely connected, not just to Lyra, but to something larger than himself. The planet, the stars, the silence of space, it all seemed to breathe with him, but their peace did not last long. As they returned to the shuttle, a shadow passed overhead. Another ship, small, dark, and unfamiliar, entered the atmosphere. It was the same group that had attacked the station before. They followed us, Alex said. They must have tracked our signal. Lyra's eyes hardened. They want the crystals. The energy readings are unlike anything in known space. The enemy ship descended rapidly, landing near the edge of the valley. Armed figures began moving toward them. Lyra reached out with her mind, trying to communicate.
Oh.
But the intruders were shielded. Alex quickly activated the shuttle's defense systems. But they were weak compared to the attackers' weapons. We can't fight them head-on, he said. We'll have to outthink them. Lyra looked at him. Then think human. I will follow your lead. Alex took a deep breath. His mind raced, searching for possibilities. Then he looked at the crystals. They reacted to emotion, to energy, to thought. Maybe they could use that. Lyra, he said, if the crystals respond to our minds, can we make them react strongly enough to create a barrier? She hesitated. It is possible, but it would require intense focus. You and I must align perfectly. Alex grinned. Let's do it. They stood together in the center of the valley as the enemy soldiers advanced. Alex closed his eyes and focused on one feeling, not fear, not anger, but protection. He imagined light, warmth, and a wall of energy shielding them. Lyra did the same, amplifying his thoughts with her own power. The crystals began to glow brighter, their hum growing louder. The ground vibrated as energy surged upward, forming a dome of shimmering light around them. The intruders fired, but the blasts were absorbed harmlessly by the crystal field. It's working, Alex shouted. Lyra nodded, concentrating deeply. Do not lose focus. The attackers continued firing, but the barrier held. Then, as if alive, the energy pulsed outward, sweeping across the valley. The intruders' weapons malfunctioned, their armor flickering with static. They retreated toward their ship, overwhelmed by the planet's reaction. When the last ship vanished into the clouds, the crystals dimmed again, returning to their peaceful glow. Alex and Lyra stood there, breathing hard but triumphant. He turned to her, laughing in disbelief. "We actually did it. You and me. We scared them off." Lyra's voice was soft. "Not just us. The planet helped. It heard you, Alex. It trusted your thoughts." He looked at the glowing crystal beneath his hand. "I think it trusted both of us." They returned to the station later that night. News of their success spread quickly. The Virian Council commended Alex for his ingenuity and bravery. But for him, the true reward wasn't the praise. It was the understanding that his humanity mattered. As the station orbited quietly above the planet, Alex and Lyra stood once again by the viewing window. "You know," Alex said with a quiet smile, "for someone who can read my thoughts, you still surprise me." Lyra smiled faintly. "And for someone whose mind I can read, you still find ways to make me laugh." They shared a long, peaceful silence. The stars glowed softly beyond the glass, and the planet below shimmered like a living jewel. Alex looked at her and said, "Maybe it's true what they say. Humans are unpredictable. But maybe that's what makes us worth knowing." Lyra nodded gently. "It is what makes you wonderful." As the station drifted onward through the stars, Alex felt at peace. For the first time in his life, he didn't need to hide his thoughts. They were heard, understood, and appreciated. His human mind, full of imagination, humor, and heart, had found a place where it truly belonged. And somewhere deep within the quiet of space, the universe itself seemed to listen, smiling at the unlikely pair who had reminded it that sometimes the most unpredictable minds are the ones that shine the brightest.